Here is the translation into British English, maintaining the appropriate terminology and tone for a UK football audience, clubs that were in the Champions League not so long ago, and historic clubs with trophy-laden cabinets. Today, we are looking at the most shocking relegations from the leagues that have just concluded this season. Shall we get started? Hello my friends, how are you all doing? Today we're going to discuss a subject that isn't exactly music to the ears of the fans whose clubs will appear in this video. Relegation. Football is capable of providing the greatest joys imaginable, but it also has a sting in its tail, painful falls that seem completely impossible until they become reality. In this recently concluded season, the international stage was left stunned by the unbelievable relegations of teams that were competing at the pinnacle of Europe only a short while ago or who boast a truly massive history. Stay with us until the end to understand how traditional giants and recent surprises collapsed together in a year that will be remembered forever. When we think of the major European leagues, we imagine that the weight of the shirt, the roar of the terraces, timies, and a cabinet full of trophies are guarantees of top-flight survival. However, the pitch doesn't care about history when the whistle blows, and this season proved that no one is truly safe. Great traditional forces of the continent, holders of memorable honors, saw the worst-case scenario unfold before their supporters' eyes. We are now going to bring you a list of 6 traditional clubs that were relegated this season. Let's start with Nantes, the fall of a traditional giant in France. We begin our journey in the French game, where a real shock has shaken the structures of the country. Nantes is a club with deep traditions in France, a true holder of great feats and achievements that make generations of fans proud. We are not talking about just any team, but a historic institution that built its reputation on glorious moments and titles of huge significance on the national stage. Seeing a club of this size and with such historical baggage get relegated has a profound impact on the entire league. Nantes has always been synonymous with competitiveness and respect in France, recognized for its memorable achievements over the decades. Drop to the second tier clearly shows how modern football does not forgive mistakes and how history alone cannot keep a team in the top flight when things go wrong on the pitch. For the fans, seeing such a storied shirt suffer this setback is a crushing blow, marking a sad chapter for one of the most traditional and successful clubs in the country. Wolverhampton Wanderers. A stalwart of the English game crossing the channel towards England, we come across another highly impactful surprise that has shaken the foundations of the most competitive league on the planet. Wolverhampton Wanderers is an immensely traditional side that had been consolidating itself as a fixture in the top tier of English football. They weren't just a temporary visitor to the Premier League, they had been part of the main stage for quite some time, competing with the best and establishing themselves firmly in the elite. Because they were such a familiar face on our screens every weekend, the relegation of Wolves has caused great astonishment among all analysts and fans of the sport. This was a club that everyone was used to seeing go up against the biggest teams in the country, always demonstrating the strength of their local tradition. Losing this consistency and seeing such a traditional club go down is a demonstration of how ruthless the competitiveness in England is, pushing even the most established clubs into the harsh reality of the Championship. West Ham United. Hammers of London, our third team, also comes from England. West Ham United, the traditional London club, the club of the Olympic Stadium. The impact is perhaps even greater than that of Wolverhampton, mainly because it is a team from the capital. West Ham is a highly traditional London side that had long been firmly established in the top flight. It is a massive club with a huge, passionate fan base that fills the terraces and supports the team relentlessly, as well as having been, throughout its history, a home of great players who defined eras in English football. Thinking of West Ham outside the Premier League seemed beyond reality considering the size of their support, their location in London, and their history of fielding great players over so much time in the top tier. This relegation becomes one of the most impactful events of the entire season because of all this structure and tradition involved. A fan base of that size and such a rich history in the top division must now face a scenario of reconstruction, proving that neither money nor location nor the massive support of a large fan base can shield a traditional club when the results on the pitch don't arrive. If the fall of traditional clubs causes immense shock, seeing teams that lived through magical moments recently drop off a cliff is something that defies the logic of the sport. Modern football provides meteoric rises, but the size of the fall can be proportional to the height of the flight. Girona, from the Champions League to relegation, one of the most impressive cases that certainly left the football world open-mouthed this season involves Girona. We are talking about a team that played in the Champions League recently, the biggest and most prestigious club competition in the world. More than just participating, Girona surprised everyone to the point of finishing in the top 4 of their league, securing a historic place to compete against the absolute elite of European football. The speed with which the Champions League dream turned into the relegation nightmare is frightening. How does a club that was recently sharing the pitch with the biggest giants in Europe and finishing among the top 4 teams in the league manage to suffer a drop like this shortly after? This brutal contrast makes Girona's relegation one of the most striking and discussed events of the year, showing that recent success and the top of the table can be fleeting if consistency isn't maintained each new season. VfL Wolfsburg. A German heavyweight falters. Our fifth team is Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg, who finished 16th in the Bundesliga, ended up being relegated after a playoff clash against Paderborn, a club that has been German champion and is a constant presence in the top division of the Bundesliga. If we have giants returning to the elite, like Schalke 04, we have giants heading to the second division in Wolfsburg, and they will encounter some big sides there. It's a sign that it will be very complicated to get back to the top. Leicester City. From Premier League champions to the third tier to finish, we return to England to talk about Leicester City. In 10 years, the club went from English champions to the third tier. This closes our list of the most impactful relegations, as we have the most dramatic case of all in English football. Leicester has simply dropped down to the third level of the football pyramid. This shocks the whole world because just 10 years ago, the same team was performing a true miracle and was champion of the Premier League, the top flight of England, overcoming all the billionaires of the sport in the most surprising conquest of modern history. Only 10 years have passed from the moment Leicester lifted the Premier League trophy to today, where the club finds itself relegated to the third tier of English football. It is an unbelievable decay for a team that a decade ago was at the absolute summit of the country. This sharp decline serves as a stark warning to any club in the world. Past success, even if it is such a grand and recent top-flight title, does not guarantee stability if management and performance on the pitch collapse to the point of pushing the team into the third division. Witnessing traditional clubs full of trophies and teams that recently shone in the Champions League falling this way shows that football is dynamic and cruel. Now, it remains for these teams to begin their journeys of reconstruction to try to regain the space they lost in this unforgettable season. Before I go, I'll leave another video on the card for you to click on and follow with us. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Cheers!